Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry for being late by a couple of minutes. I had troubles with my computer, but now we are live. I am so glad to see you again. I am so looking forward to this live because, hey, for one thing, it is the second one and last week went super great. And I just look forward to seeing if we can repeat this experience or even enhance this experience. Today, we have a great topic. The topic was suggested by Yasmin, who I see is here, and it's how to learn French without cramming words or grammar. And I see there's already some activity in the chat. Linda is here, Connie is here. So we have the usual suspects. And if anyone else is watching too, please say hi. Don't hesitate to use the chat. It is great to have the ability to interact together and for me to answer your questions and your comments. So I look forward to this topic so much. Today, we are going back really to the core of the method that I use, not only with my clients, but also in my courses like the French Accelerator and the French Life Launchpad. And really learning French without cramming words or grammar is what I'm all about. I never thought of summarizing it this way, but really that's what the method that I use is wanting to do. The goal is really to have as little cramming as possible for a number of reasons. And I'm completely off my outline. I had written something else, but I really want to address this first, that for starters, cramming does not work. And I would love if you could share some of your experiences in the comment with when perhaps you have crammed a lot for an exam or trying to learn French, trying to learn a lot of words, trying to learn a lot of grammar, or perhaps even experiences that you've had in different topics. So it doesn't have to be French, could be another language, could be any topic. And in my experience and in the experience that I've observed in my students, cramming works only when you have an exam tomorrow or the day after tomorrow and you need to learn as fast as possible, pass your exam, and forget everything. I've been doing that in university a lot. I've been doing it as part of my master's degree in language teaching. I'm not even ashamed of saying it. I think it's part of every student's life. If you've been to university or to college, because in the US it's different. In France, we don't have a difference between college and university. But if you've been to college or maybe even to high school, you have had the experience of cramming. But it doesn't work. I mean, it works in the sense that you might get your degree, and that's good, but it doesn't work to learn something and especially not learn a language to fluency. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to say that right now, I do work with clients a lot on preparing for the DELF exams. So for example, I have all the DELF books here. So I have the A2, B1, B2, and also have the C1. Those are all the exams that I often prepare with my clients. If you have a different exam that you want to prepare with me, I might be able to do it, but I might need more research. But those I'm very proficient in. I'm an examinator for those exams. I know them inside out, and I can tell you for those, cramming doesn't work because they have been designed so that you cannot cram for them. So you can give up altogether on cramming. It's not a solution for learning a language because it's very short-lived. It won't work for those exams even. And also it's damaging for your fluency, and it's damaging for, not really for your brain, like your brain is fine if you cram, but it's while you cram, you are teaching your brain that French requires a lot of effort and a lot of intensity, and it's really just the opposite of what you want. Fluency is a situation where you do not need to put some efforts into speaking, or you do not need to put some efforts into the language. Like for example, right now I'm speaking English fluently to you. You know it's not my native language. I'm a French native speaker. I have learned English, but right now I'm not putting any effort into speaking English to you. It happens because I am very trained and I know how to do it. I'm putting some efforts into organizing my ideas, into showing up on camera, and into trying to keep an eye on the chat, which is super active at the same time. But you can imagine that if I were to put some efforts into the language itself, I would not be able to do this because it's too much. So if you're not there yet with French, no worries, but I just really need you to understand that fluency is something that means no effort. So you could try to put in some efforts on the way to fluency, but when you are fluent, you are not needing to put any effort to speak, and the other person, the other people are not needing to put any effort to understand. So I'm hoping that you're not having to put any efforts to be able to understand my English, and if so, then that means that I am fluent, and that corresponds to in the CAFR, in those exams, that corresponds to B2 or higher. This is what we refer to with fluency. So I hope that's clear, and I hope it makes sense to you so far. And I'm just gonna check with the chat and what you've been writing, and then I'll tell you how I do it with my clients and how you can also do it, and how it's explained also in my courses. So we have Linda is saying she crammed like a mad thing for the national certification exam for medical laboratory technology. Yeah, that makes sense, because I assume that you would have a lot of stuff to know for that exam, and once you have it, you're fine, and you just need to know what you need for your own job. So that's the case where cramming makes some sense. Yasmin is saying, yep, high school and college, lots of cramming, but you barely remember it after the exam. So you understand that it's not what you want. I mean, I assume that if you're here with the goal of becoming a French speaker, which is the tagline of this channel, and basically the tagline of everything I do, it's on my website as well. It doesn't work if you don't remember it after a couple of days. Like, that's not what you want. So when I was a piano student in undergrad, I crammed, if you could call it that, for my annual jury final. My fingers nearly fell off. How poor you. And after you passed your final exam, you never played the pieces again. So yeah, that's the issue that we have to deal with. If you cram a lot, you risk not wanting to deal with the language ever again. This is not what you want. What you want is to adopt the language and have your French life and keep going forever and ever. Hi, Steve. Bonjour. It's sweet to have you here. So let's look into how we do this. And that's, like I said, it's very much the core of my methods, and you will find it also in when we work one-on-one and in my courses, the French Accelerator, and also in particular the French Life Launchpad, which is basically centered around everything that I'm saying today. So if you haven't checked out the French Life Launchpad, but you're really interested into knowing more and exactly step-by-step how it works for what I'm going to share today, that would be the course for you. So I just wanted to put that here. So the first thing that I want to go back to is the 4 steps. Now, those are not in the French Life Launchpad, or rather they are, but I hadn't formalized them this way yet when I was making it. But the 4 steps are in a video that I have on this channel, which is about how to learn French for beginners. I'm just going to recap them here rapidly so that we know what we're talking about. That video is a bit more expansive on this topic. So the 4 steps are selection, activation, immersion, and practice. I like to call it safe practice. You could still do it if you're not in a safe environment. I have been doing it a ton, especially when I was learning German. It was not a great environment to be in. I did do it, but now I'm still a bit reluctant to use German more than I need to. So having a safe place to practice is also very useful if you want to keep enjoying the language for its own sake and interacting with natives if you're not forced to. So, but we're going to speak mostly today about the first step, the selection, and then the last 2. So the selection happens on 2 different levels. So the first level is before you start, or if you haven't done it yet, now is the time. Like, you should really not learn any more French until you have filled something like this. So this is the Fluency Worksheet. If you have been working with me one-on-one, you have a larger version that I made for you, which is the French Fluency roadmap. But wait, sorry. This is the page that we're going to speak about. You can see it looks just like the Fluency Worksheet. This variant is free. This one is filled, but it always comes empty. It's just that I filled it for a student. This one is free. You can get it as part of the French Fluency Starter Kit. And you have the summaries of how to use it. So you have one page that explains how to use it, and one page that is your actual roadmap, which you need to use to learn French. Now, this is very important because the French language is huge. And you don't want to learn all of the French language. If you would want to learn all of the French language, that is how you would not be able to learn without cramming, because that's too much. The good news is that you don't need a lot of French. And in fact, no one knows all of the French language, not even myself. And there are words in the French dictionary that I don't know because I don't need them. And there are plenty of French natives who don't have a lot of vocabulary. In fact, there was a craze in the 70s where researchers just started. That was the time when it was easy to acquire recordings, or it became easy to acquire recordings, and researchers were recording every kind of speaker they could find and just statistically counting the kind of words they were using and how they were speaking. And there was a lot of like counting at that time. And they counted how many words the natives that have the least amount of words use on a daily basis. And well, unless you know it, like if you know it, please don't spoil, but I'm curious to see if you can give me some numbers. Can you just give me some numbers to guess, like the natives that use the least amount of words, how many different words do they use, just for fun? Try to give me some numbers to see. Linda, don't tell us, because I'm sure you know, or if you don't, you can guess. So Connie's saying, I think you make learning anything a chore, you begin to resent it, and yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, so absolutely, it's how you feel about cooking and cleaning. Yeah, if you make it a chore, then it becomes awful, right? You have to enjoy the process, or at least enjoy the results. But if it's a chore, yeah, it's too bad. Linda says, I agree with you. I like cooking because it's fun. And I started to learn how back in the days, cleaning, oh, hell no. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just want to outsource it to someone whose job it is, right? So we have Yasmin is saying 300, Steve is saying 900. Okay, any other numbers? Okay, I'm just going to tell you the lowest number that has been counted for natives is 500. 500. For the record, in order to pass, so since I've been showing those books, Linda, I know so yeah, you've heard me say it before. In order to pass this one, which is B1, so it's like halfway, it's not even halfway through. I mean, it's just A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. So it's relatively low still. That would require you to know 1,000 words in theory. So some natives would know half of the number of words that you would have to know to pass this degree. Of course, those natives don't have a very elaborate lifestyle. They mostly do the same thing. Like, for example, I remember watching a TV replay on YouTube with a young girl who was a hairdresser, and the topic was that she had a shopping addiction. And I was very impressed in a bad way by how that girl was talking in French, because she was systematically repeating the same words. And I was like, okay, like this is what it looks like when a native has 500 words. They just use the same words all the time. They don't have like all the words for emotions, for example. They don't have, things are either super good or super bad, but no like nuances. It's difficult to communicate with them because they just don't have a lot of vocabulary, but they live their entire life. They live their entire life with this amount. So, and if you look at the French dictionary, it will tell you it has 80,000 or 100,000, or it depends a bit on how you count them, but close enough to, a six-finger numbers, 80,000, 100,000 words. And you don't want to learn this many. You want to learn just the words that you need. So I hope that makes sense on the principle. And so how do you determine the words which you need? This is where this comes into play. So you have a step-by-step process, which I'm not going to repeat entirely, but really you must think very deeply about what is the life that you want to lead as a French speaker. And so if you are in the French Life Launchpad, which is the course that I released in January, you will have the step-by-step process. There's like a workshop, which is 1 hour just to do this. And I guide you exactly step-by-step how to do it. But really the idea is that you want to have a crystal clear vision of what you want to do with the language. So you want to travel, maybe. If you want to work with the language, what is your job like? Who do you want to speak to? What situations do you want to speak to? And so on and so forth. And all of that, you end up with a list which you write here. So this is the first thing that I'm doing for each of my one-on-one clients, is making the list best I can of all the tasks, we call them tasks, all the stuff that you want to be doing with the language. And that should give you a roadmap, that serves as your guide for the rest of your study. So you need to do that first, and that is why it's the first thing that I do with my one-on-one students. For example, today I had an interview with a new student, and I wrote down all the notes that I needed to take to create this, well, at least create those 40 pages for him, just because it's the first step. And I really don't recommend trying to learn French before you've done that, because if you do, you will not know where you are going with it. And it's really important. So that was the first level of selection. I know it was a long ramble. I hope that makes sense and that what I said is clear. If you have any questions, please ask them. Of course, it's all in the French Life Launchpad, but if you're not in there or if something is unclear, now is a good time to ask the question before we get into the second aspect of selection. Because if you don't understand this part, it's really difficult to get into the next step. So if there's any question, please let me know. And if it makes sense, please also let me know. As usual, I don't know how long it takes for what I said to reach to you, and how long it takes for the comments to arrive here. So I'm having some awkward silence, but please feel free to keep typing your question. I'm just going to move on to the next step, and if a question pops up, I just answer them when it does. So the second step is what I call the day-to-day selection. So for that, you will be needing this list. So on a day-to-day basis, when you choose what to learn, you can pick, or you should actually pick something from this list. So for example, if one thing you want to be able to do is go to a restaurant in France, and one of your tasks is to be able to order food in France, then you could decide, okay, today I'm going to learn about food or learn how to communicate with a waiter. So that's something you can do with a language learning partner, for example, if you have one. Or, of course, if you study one-on-one with me, I will be doing this selection for you, and then we will be working together towards building the fluency in those areas which you have selected, which I have selected for you. So it's really important on a day-to-day basis during your immersion and especially during your practice sessions to select something from this chart. So that's why it's critical. Like, I know I keep repeating it, but this is the thing you want to be using. And while you do that, you have to be extremely mindful of the words you learn. This is another key. This is a mistake I've been making in the past. Back when I was unsuccessful at learning German, one thing that I was trying to do is just to cram as many words as I could. I was young. I didn't know. I wasn't a French coach yet. It was a long time before I had my master's degree. And I just didn't know how it worked. And I had this huge, massive notebook where I had written down all the German words that I could find. And I went to classes that were way too high for my level, where like the teacher was teaching about, I think, history or geography in German, and it was way too high. And I was just thinking, okay, never mind. I'm just gonna push through. Long story short, it didn't work at all. And if I am to learn a new language in the future, I will do it completely differently from what I did then. I will use something like this because this is what works. So in order to learn your vocabulary, you will have to use a system. I also have a video about learning vocabulary, more than one actually. The system that I recommend the most, that I find works for most people, is the vocabulary notebook. So you need to have a little notebook in which you write your English and French, rewrite your French vocabulary. And if that helps, you can write the English translation. Most people do it this way with like 2 columns and the French on the one side and an English translation on the other side. It's better if you learn expressions or chunks at a time, not individual words. This is not a course about vocabulary. Otherwise, I'll speak for another hour about it. But yeah, you want to have your notebook, and that serves as a place to learn your vocabulary. And then you want to review it every day. I recommend 5 to 10 minutes. So if you would do 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening, it would be perfect. And yeah, so I hope that makes sense what I've been saying about the notebook. The important thing that I wanted to say here about selection, that was just giving you some background, is that no word lives in your notebook rent-free. So when I work one-on-one with students, I tell them to never write more than 10 words per day in the notebook. Even if you have a session with me once a week, and when we have a session, I give you 50, 60 new words, only 10 per day have to go in the notebook, because you need to keep the amount of words in the notebook reasonable, because then you need to learn it. And the goal is to have the notebook to serve as the mindful bottleneck. Like, think of like the notebook as like the protection for your brain. Because if you have too much in your notebook, or if you're trying to learn too much and you can't do it, which I mean is normal, your brain has a limited capacity. Or no, that is not exactly true. You can potentially learn an infinite amount of stuff, but you can only learn so much at a time. And that is what's critical here. You need to find a way to feed the words into your brain little by little, and also feed first the ones that are most useful. So for that, you need to be extremely mindful of what words go into your notebook, and the words that go there have to be super duper useful. So I'll let you type questions if you have any. I'm just going to check my my outline to see if there are things that I wrote, which I need to give you. Is that clear? Like, can you tell me if what I've been saying is clear to you? Or if you have any questions, just please ask. Else, we're just going to move on to my next part, which is the difference between immersion and practice. So I hope it makes sense that practice is when you speak or sometimes maybe write French, and that immersion is when you listen or watch French content. So that's the basic difference. But then there is a difference with how you select those things. So Connie's saying selective learning, as you get better, you will automatically pick up more words or phrases. Yes, so this is bound to happen, especially as you have your daily French bath and your immersion. When you do the immersion, you're going to pick up some words from there. But that's not the kind of things that the notebook is for. The notebook is really here to support the things that are not so easy for you to learn automatically by picking them up. And that's why you have to be extremely mindful of what goes in the notebook. So it's really just the words that you need. And you will know, honestly, like when you look at a word, you know, honestly, if that's the word that you will need, or if it's just, oh, you never know. So if you look at a word and you ask, do I need that? And your answer is, oh, you never know, you don't. Ditch it. Like the thing is, those words, like you have to err towards being very conservative and having as few words as possible in the notebook. So if you're not sure whether or not the word belongs in there, you have to ditch it. Just like in doubt, it's a no. Because if the word was actually needed, it will come again, right? And if it doesn't come again, and you've lost the word forever, good riddance. It means it was a word that you didn't need. So it's really, really important to have those words that are, I like to call that the "this is so helpful" filter. If you see the word and you think, oh my God, this word is so helpful, I will need it all the time, I need to have this word, then that goes in the notebook. If it's like, I'm not so sure, I don't, you never know, that's the word that you have to put out. And honestly, if I had done that back in the days when I was trying to learn German, I would have been so much more successful with it. Like that was the biggest mistake I made with German back in the days when I was trying to learn it at the university. All right, so let's see if we have any questions. So Linda's saying, clear, I started using my notebook for words I found useful. Now it's more like phrases and fewer of them. Yes, it's about learning less, not more. That's like, if I have to answer in one sentence how to learn French without cramming words or grammar, learning French is about learning less, not worse. Not learning less, not more. It's really about being extremely selective and extremely mindful of what you need to learn or what you want to learn. Omowaleao, did I pronounce that correctly? I'm so sorry, that's such a long name. Omowaleao. Tell me if that's correct. I'm sorry, I don't want to offend you, but hi, welcome. I'm glad this is clear to you. So another thing that I want to tell you about, so that was about the notebook. The other thing you have to do daily is the French bath. And what's important in the French bath is that you need to not care how much you understand. The goal is just to have some French around. And I know this is a bit challenging because school has taught us, among other things, that we need to get everything and understand everything. And this is a terrible mindset to have. Like, think about it. When you're a toddler, you do not understand everything that the adults around you are saying, and it doesn't matter. You don't care. And so when you're listening to French, you don't need to understand everything, especially if it's a podcast or a YouTube video. Like, it's not a life and death situation. Like, of course, if you're in a situation where it's very stressful and you need to understand, that is different. But your French bath is here to just put some French in your life and teach your brain that, yeah, this language is here now. It's here to stay. So Connie's saying, I love my daily French bath. Cool, I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's the whole point, basically. Really, the whole point is to have French there and enjoy it. So I recommend using any YouTube channel that you like, which is in French. By the way, especially the usual suspects here. If you have YouTube channels that you love, please just type them in the comments for other people to grab. That can be useful to others. Like just share. Don't keep them to yourself. Linda's saying, me too. I've even had it in an actual bath. That's actually something. It's quite long. I'm so sorry. That means I probably butchered your name. I'm so sorry. I wish you could pronounce it for me. So Linda is making a good point that she says she's actually had a French bath while she was in an actual bath. You can actually do it while you're doing something else. So while you're cooking, cleaning, working out, knitting, sewing, or walking, jogging, having a bath, doing your makeup is something that some of my clients have been doing. So it can be done at the same time as any other activity. You don't have to set aside an hour every day for your French. It has to be just integrated to what you already do. So it also doesn't take a lot of time. One thing I wanted to tell you is the difference between passive vocabulary and active vocabulary. So it is absolutely normal to understand more words than you can use. And if you think about it, this is also the case in your native language. So if English is your native language, I'm sure there are plenty of words which, if you hear them on TV, you will understand what they mean, but those are not words that you would actively use. And this is normal for French as well. So this is something that is true for your native language and for any language that you learn. There are actually 4 steps of learning a word, and those are not the same 4 steps as I spoke about in the beginning. It's another 4 situations. So the first situation is when you don't know the words, you don't know what it means, you've never heard it, the word is completely unknown to you. So that's where you're at the beginning, before you know the word. Then you get into a step where you've heard the word, but you don't know what it means. And of course, you can't use it because you don't know what it means. Then you have a step which we call passive vocabulary, which is where you know the word and you know what it means, but you don't use it for some reason, just because it's not relevant or you haven't yet become familiar enough with the word. And the last step is when you know the word, you know what it means, and you can use it. So for each word, you basically have to go through all those 4 steps. And some words are just honestly not worth it. And that's why you have a lot more words in your passive vocabulary than in your active vocabulary, because some words just, you happen to know what they mean because you've heard them before and you know what they mean. People use them around you, but they're not useful to you, so they don't become active. The ones that go into the notebook are the ones that you want to have here. So the notebook helps you get the words from this place, right? So when you come in touch with a word, you might just go straight through this part. You might be like, okay, new word, this is the meaning, and then boom, you want to put it in your notebook. Before you put it in your notebook, make sure you deserve, or that the word deserves to be here, right? Does that make sense? And also, it means that there is a gap of time between when you come in touch with a word first and when you actually can use it. And that's normal, and that's actually healthy, because you, like I said, you don't want to cram so many words. And the last thing I have on topic today is how to practice the vocabulary or the grammar selection. So once you have selected something from here and you know that it's useful, and you have decided to practice this particular part today, and you have chosen your words, you have put them in your notebook, how do you practice them? So for me, when I work one-on-one with students, I actually give them the notes. So we speak during the session. I introduce new words to the students because they need it when they speak. And by the way, I hope I'm explaining that right. Those of you who have one-on-one sessions, please supplement what I'm saying if you think that what I'm saying doesn't make sense for others, and I'll just read a lot what you said. But basically, during those sessions, I speak to the person. We choose something from their roadmap. And by the way, this is personal, so please don't message me telling me, oh, I wish you would send me one which is filled out. You cannot have one which is filled out by me unless we spend hours together and I make one for you, which is what I do for my one-on-one students. There is no pre-filled that works for everybody, because your life is different from everybody else's life. So I'm sorry, you have to do it yourself, or you have to hire me to do it for you, but it has to be for each person. So that's a personal list. So then when I have that, we work that with each session. Oh, sorry, getting confused right now. I had a long day. But once we have this, that's what we work on with each session, and we choose the topic for the session, and then I give a lot of new words during that session, because I don't want my student, my one-on-one student at least, to have to do a lot of research while I can actually be doing it. So that's really the added value of the one-on-one, as opposed to being in a group class, for example. And so I give you all those pages. It's like 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 pages of notes for each session. Generally, there is a small number of pages, like 2, 3 at the very beginning for very beginners. Then people who are at the intermediate level, they tend to have a lot. And then when you get really, really advanced, you get less, just because you speak a lot and there isn't so much for me to correct or to give new input, because you're basically very close to fluent. But then you get all those notes from me, and then I also like to point out grammar exercises. So I know that it's harder to make if you're not working one-on-one with me or with someone who's very competent at picking out which grammar you need to learn. But I do have those books which I use. They're here. It's called Grammaire progressive du français. I love to use that. It's all in French in there, but it's really explained in simple ways, especially at the beginning. The lessons are just really, really tiny. And so worst case scenario, if you really want to be learning the grammar, if you feel that the grammar is difficult for you, you could still take this book and do the exercises in order, because it's progressive, which means step by step, basically in French. That would translate as step-by-step French grammar. If you feel that you have also a lot of challenges with grammar, I definitely recommend joining the French Fluency Accelerator, because we have like 6 or 7 workshops about different aspects of grammar. And I explain them in English, and really taking it from, not even from where you are, but I assume in those workshops that you have no pre-existing knowledge, and I just explain it to you in a way that hopefully makes sense, and using a lot of analogies and things that you will understand. So if grammar is an issue for you, or if you want to learn to build more fluency, but not working one-on-one, the French Fluency Accelerator is a good place for you. And if you are just starting out and you would just like to use this kind of method, you can enroll in the French Life Launchpad, which is my new little course. It's not little, it's over 6 hours long, but the French Accelerator is a lot longer than that. And in the French Life Launchpad, you really have one workshop for each page, and it's the exact same process that I use with my one-on-one students. So yep, and if you have a language partner, I know it's kind of difficult to set together a good language exchange, but if you have one, you can also use this method with them. Perhaps that would be a topic that I could speak about, language exchanges in a future live. So that's all I have for today. I hope this makes sense, especially Yasmin, since you asked the questions originally. If you're still here, please tell me if that answers your question. And as always, I love to answer any question that you have. I can stay up to 1 hour here, so we've got another, is it 25 minutes? Yeah, we've got another 25 minutes, so I'm happy to just hang out and give feedback and answer questions. So Linda's new YouTube channel called Food Story. Oh, it's a really good one. Yeah, about food, not about cooking. Yep. Also in the French Accelerator, we have a Facebook group where you can share your successes or ask questions if you have trouble. Yes, absolutely. So the French Life Launchpad doesn't have a Facebook group. You can just use the French Fluency Together Facebook group, which is free, which you can join even if you're not in the Launchpad, to ask questions. So that's how you can reach out to me, hopefully. Unfortunately, Facebook has a tendency to hide things. So I'm just not super happy about how it works on Facebook right now, but I don't really have another solution either. So we can still try to use the Facebook group, and then you can tag me. Or if you have been posting things in the Facebook group and I haven't answered you, that's probably because Facebook didn't show it to me. So please send me an email and I'll go there and answer you. But in the French Fluency Accelerator, there is a Facebook group which is just for the accelerator. And I check into that group almost every day just to see if there are questions and answer feedback. So you can grab me every day on the French Fluency Accelerator Facebook group, but not every day on YouTube. It's just on Mondays. So if you have questions, ask them now. Otherwise, you have to wait until next Monday or hope that I show up on Facebook. But honestly, I prefer to answer the questions live. It's just a bit, I find it more enjoyable. Tell me if you think that. And if you're not on Telegram, what are you waiting for? Yes, good point, Linda. I will give the Telegram link, which I just need to find. So, okay, it's a bit complicated, but I will put it in the chat right now. It might be in the description of the video too, but yeah. Okay. So on Telegram, I do share things, not every day, but definitely several times a week, definitely more often than on YouTube and on Facebook put together. Yes, view channel info here. Sorry for the delay. This is the link. So it's just at French Fluency on Telegram. If you type French Fluency or you type my name, Angèle Preto, in the Telegram search function, there you will find it. And also there is a tutorial on this channel. There is a tutorial on how to use Telegram for language learning. And then you can find everything on how it works there. So if you don't know anything about Telegram, that video will help you. All right, so Yasmin is saying, yes, thank you, except I don't really know what kind of vocabulary I need, nor do I have a place to use it right now. In that case, what would you recommend? So it takes an effort of imagination. You have to go back to this. And if you, I don't think you're in the French Life Launchpad, but if you were in the French Life Launchpad, it would be explained more step by step. You really have to go back to this, and it takes some imagination. You can do a visualization to see yourself in the future. You do have a video on this channel, which I recorded last year. I don't remember what it's called. Becoming a French speaker or something like that. I can find it. I will, when I listen to the recording back, I will put it up there so you can use it. But really, it's about, you have to visualize yourself and your life as a French speaker and come up with all the not questions, but situations that you would be doing. So for example, like, let's do it right now in the comment, actually. Yasmin, what do you want to do with French? Just tell me, like, why are you learning French? What is your goal? What are the kind of things that you want to do? And we can just do it together right here. So that will give us an example for the other people. Connie, do you have resources for phonetic pronunciation of French words? I cannot figure out the ways to pronounce words. So I'm preparing a pronunciation course, which I hope to get out this week. Things have been a bit wacky with my schedule lately. I blame Mercury retrograde. I'm just always feeling bad in those times, or not feeling bad, but feeling slow. But my next course is about pronunciation, and it will be out soon, hopefully this week. And there will also be a special offer at the beginning. So like there will be an early bird discount like there was for the Launchpad. And in that course, I really explain exactly how to pronounce all the sounds that are bizarre in French. And there are practice files on that course. And there is also a list of additional resources which you can use. I think Gabriel Weiner has made a pronunciation training, which I most of the time don't recommend what he does, because he's one of those people who thinks that what works for him will work for everyone. But the one thing that I trust him about is pronunciation, because he's an opera singer, and he's the angle that is really good at. So it's Gabriel Weiner, the author of Fluent Forever. I think if you look up Fluent Forever, you'll find his stuff. But it's all in the pronunciation course. I'm sorry I haven't been able to finish it, but it's gonna be ready soon. So, well, thank you. I'm happy that helps you. I'm just not daring to pronounce your name anymore. Sorry. And Linda, Yasmin, I'm working on things I will be using when I get to go back to France. Yes. So if you, for example, if you're doing it for traveling, Yasmin, think of the stuff that you want to be doing. Like, why are you traveling? For example, for some people, they love mostly going to the restaurant and food, but other people love museums, or I have people who love biking and cycling. For some reason, it's a beloved hobby, particularly in the Loire Valley. And you can understand that those, restaurant, museums, and cycling are three different things. So if you want to do those three things, that will be three lines here. So restaurant would be talking about food or ordering food. Cycling will be able to speak about the bike, maybe have a conversation to repair the bike, or get some advice on where to go, that kind of things. So those are the kind of things that you want to put here. Pronunciation course would be great. Yeah, it will be ready very soon. I'm about to finish it. It's just hopefully this week. I'm pretty packed, but I hope I'll do it. Basically, tone deaf. Poor Connie. It doesn't matter because there are no tones in French. Tones are something that we use in mostly Asian languages like Mandarin Chinese, but French doesn't have tones, so it doesn't matter. Cannot tell the difference between. Oh my God, you want me to read that? I can't do that either. So it's a pin and pen, or don and down. I'm sure I'm butchering your language now. Sorry. I speak English, but cannot. So I am told there are differences. It might also be a regional difference. So sometimes, like in the UK versus in the US, it can be different. I mean, English pronunciation is such a pain. Like, take that from someone who has a bachelor's degree in English literature and who has been to university in phonetics classes for English, and just bad memories there. I try to make my pronunciation course, or when I work one-on-one and I make, for example, tongue twisters, that is important actually. If you work one-on-one with me, you will get personalized tongue twisters that will be made with the words that are hard for you, the words that you have a hard time pronouncing. And so I will make tongue twisters that are personal to you, and I make, like, on average, I probably make 2 or 3 for, or maybe less, 2 on average. It's quite rare to have 3 for each new student, and it's pretty rare that a student comes to me and not have pronunciation difficulties, just because, English natives have a different kind of set of sounds, so it's normal to struggle with that. On the pronunciation course, which is going to come out, there will be just, of course, one generic tongue twister, but it includes all the difficult sounds, so that should help. So some news from Jasmine. We are doing this exercise. So communicate in places where French is used, such as Africa, some Caribbean islands, okay, right. But what do you want to communicate about? That's the thing. Like, what are the topics that you want to speak about, and who do you want to speak to? Those are the questions that you need to reflect on. So please tell me, what are your topics? Whom do you want to speak to, etc. So you're a travel agent. So yes, traveling will be a topic that you will want to be able to speak about, be it just because it's your profession. You love the sound of French and speaking what little you do know. Well, I guess the pronunciation course will be also useful for you because it's the sound of French. So yeah. All right, I've run out of comment. So I expect that, Yasmin, you will give some further feedback so we can go on this exercise. But anyone has another question or any feedback or something you'd like me to speak about? I really appreciated it last week when you were throwing me a couple of topics, and in fact, this topics today was taken from what Yasmin suggested last week. I think we have a couple other things that I could just dig a bit more. But yeah, if I do manage to finish the pronunciation course this week, then next Monday I will speak about pronunciation. But yeah, so. Omo, is it okay if I call you Omowa? Sorry, I can't make your entire name. This is embarrassing, but you have a hard time listening to French. What does that mean? Can you elaborate? I think it could probably help you here. I'm just gonna get a little tea while you're all typing your comments. Listening comprehension is hard for you too, so it's understanding which is difficult. Well, you're pretty much you read best, then write, then listen, then speak. This is not weird, especially knowing you, Linda, because you have a thing for the written word. You love to read, also in English, and you would tend to. I mean, you're a writer and so on, so it's normal that you will have more of a strength towards writing and less towards listening. It's also normal with the speed of French, and also I recommend doing your daily French bath with real French material. So the speed makes it difficult. One thing that can help you more is the live classes that we do in the French Fluency Accelerator, where we take really these documents, typically the video or a song, and then I ask a very pointed question. I would practice more with this, perhaps, Linda, that could help you. And maybe I could, since you have one-on-one sessions, I could give you in your homework more understanding topics. I'll think about how I can do that. It's not something I practice so much because I find that speaking is, in the one-on-one, because I find that speaking is really what you're targeting, but we can target understanding if you want to. Just tell me, we can do it. You can't make out the sounds. Okay, so speed is definitely an issue. French speakers speak super fast. When you're on YouTube, one thing you can do is you can decrease the speed. So you can use, there's a little setting. There's a little setting wheel which is in the probably here, bottom right corner of the video, and that you can use to slow down the sound. Sometimes it does not give best results because the voice gets distorted, but sometimes it also helps. Just like make it 0.75, like 0.75, 75% of the speed, and that can help. And yeah, That's the one thing that's easy. That's an easy fix that I can think of right now. Otherwise, you would just need training, basically, which I would have to give you perhaps one-on-one. Or join the French Fluency Accelerator, and then you'll be able to do the live classes with us and practice with the live classes that already exist. So that could be good for you too. So anything travel related would be good to learn. My pronunciation is really good. I used to read out loud in French to a young boy, but yeah, vocabulary. Okay, so travel and hospitality, you want to dig deeper on those topics. So for example, traveling, what does that include? Accommodation, maybe? So how would you, you're a travel agent, so I assume you would probably, normally when I do these kind of things with a one-on-one client, I don't embarrass myself on YouTube by thinking out loud, and the person is actually telling me what they need instead of me kind of guessing. So it's really difficult to do it this way, but really this is the idea. Like you want to realize, like, for example, what are the topics that you speak about in English on a daily basis. You can journal what you've been speaking about, for example, and think, okay, those topics are important in French. So that might be accommodation, that might be like touristy destinations that you would like to speak about. It could be even down to like one specific touristy destination that you want to speak about. Like for example, if you're doing a language exchange, you can have a session where you speak to your language partner about one particular place that you'd recommend, for example. So I hope this helps. Currently saying I'm the same. I cannot figure out the sounds. Yeah, I'm working on the pronunciation course. Sorry about that. It's taking some time. All right. Any other question? Or comment or feedback or anything that you'd like to know about? Kind of thought this one would be longer than that. I mean, if we don't have any other question, I'm just gonna sign off. But while I'm here, just you can take advantage of my presence to ask me stuff or to tell me stuff. I'm just gonna wait a little bit more. Yasmin says, thank you. Yes, that helps. I narrow it down. Yeah, you really want to get it as narrow as possible because then it becomes easy. I think the reason why you felt overwhelmed by the amount is because you just really hadn't gone as narrow as you possibly could. So like the smallest it can get, the easiest it will be for you to target that. Linda, a thing I've started doing is putting on a French TV show made for French natives and putting my subtitle on in French. So yes, this is something you can do when you're an intermediate student. Well, you can still do it when you're a beginner. Then the speed will probably be too fast. But if you're in a situation where your French is good enough and you can read the French subtitle at the same time as they speak, that can indeed help you connect the written and the what's spoken and what's written. Now it's a bit of a double-edged sword because for some people, like you're good at writing. So if you're good at writing, it will work for you. If you're not good at writing, it might as well overload your brain because unfortunately the way French is spoken and the way French is written, kind of like English, is a bit different. It's different in different ways. So for example, in French, what we have is a lot of silent letters, and it can be hard to make them out at the beginning. But when you're trained and the speed is not too fast for you, then that will work. But yes, I'll put a caveat here. You can try it. If you find that it doesn't work for you or that it doesn't work right now, it doesn't mean that it won't work later. It might work later. But if you find that it doesn't work for you, it's not a reason to beat yourself up. Like this is something that will work for some people and probably not for everyone. It's not exact, but it does help me understand what they are saying because they go fast. Yeah, if you can read at this kind of speed, good job. Like keep doing it. Absolutely. Connie says, again, thank you for an informative session. Well, welcome. I'm really happy that it helps. Call My Agent on Netflix with English subtitles. Yeah, so that would be the path towards understanding French material. Is that first you would put it up with the French sound and the English subtitles, and that's not cheating. Like that's fine. Sometimes you just want to watch a show just for the pleasure of watching it. It will still count as your daily French bath, even if you have English subtitles. It may not be as efficient as French subtitles, but sometimes you just want a break, right? So it's important to just get a break. So it's not cheating, it's fine. And also what's super cool with English subtitles is that you can do it with friends. You can do it with your husbands. You can do it with your partners, with your children, or with anyone. And, you sometimes you just want to be with your loved ones and do something together. So having the subtitles in English also makes it more communal. So that would be the first part. Then you can go with French subtitles, and that will still help. And at the end of the story, you can go French with no subtitles. That's when you're like my level, basically. So Linda says, Call My Agent is a favorite show to watch. I really need to watch it. Everybody's telling me about Call My Agent. Like, I need to get my Netflix account back up. I have a love-hate relationship with Netflix, where once in a while I pay for a month of the subscription, and either I find nothing that I want to watch, or I find so many things I want to watch that I spend my entire time on it. So either way, I end up canceling because it's either eating up all my time or it's a waste of money. And I don't know why that happens, but it's systematically the case. It's just Netflix and me. Sometimes I've said something and I just can't understand it, but then I see the French word in the subtitle and the penny drops. Perfect. That's what you want. Like, this is definitely a sign that your French is improving. So keep going. I don't like my husband most days. This is between you and him. But if you want to use a French show to like wall him off, I guess that works. You know, whatever works for you. We should have a video chat watch party. That would be fun. We could do that. I've been wondering if we should do the French book club somewhere on YouTube, like where we could, or like on a Zoom or something, because that would be fun too. But I'm not sure I want to commit to something like that. And he doesn't have to get involved. Yeah, you can do watch party together, and you don't have to, like, you can leave your husbands out of it, or like have them do some husbandy stuff in their corner. So yeah, I've run out of comments again. If there are any questions left or anything you'd like to hear about or share or want feedback on, we've got a couple more minutes. I don't have a count. Oh, Phil is here. Hi, Phil. New here from Texas. Well, cool to have you here. I'm glad you're here. This is almost the end of the live stream. So I've been streaming for almost an hour now. If you have questions about French learning or questions about anything that I can answer, or just something that you'd like my feedback on, now is a good time. I'm here for another few minutes. And of course, you can watch the rest of the replay as well as the one from last week, because this is the second week I'm doing it. And I will keep doing it every week at the same time. If you're in Texas, it's probably, I don't want to be saying weird stuff, but wait. So it's at 7 p.m. for me. So it's at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be at like exactly midday for Texas. Yes, actually, I want to know that too. Thanks, Connie, for the question. Is it better in Texas? Is it warmed up yet? I know that I had a session with a Texan student. I think it was on Friday or Saturday, and it was horrible there. So I hope it's getting better. So if it's 1 p.m. now, but I started 1 hour ago, so that will be every Monday, but at the time 1 hour ago. Like spring. Oh, cool. I'm glad to hear that. So yeah, I hope the water problem will be solved soon. That really sucks. So yep. Again, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And it's cool to see. Yes, I think I start at 12, but I'm not sure if I'm not mixed up with time zone. Linda or someone on the East Coast, or someone who's in the US and knows the Texas time, can you please confirm what time the stream is? Because I know it's 1 p.m. Eastern, but you're probably 12 in Texas. All right. Yes, it did better now. Okay, cool. So yeah, Phil, if you have any question, or I mean any of the other people that are here, YouTube is telling me 7 people are watching. So yep. Okay, start at noon. Cool. Ooh, Andrea Cathy. I haven't noticed you before, so welcome. If you've been here, you've been silent, so I'm glad you're speaking. It's cool to have you here. If you have any questions, again, I have approximately 4 minutes to go, so I'm happy to answer anything. You don't have to ask about the topic of today. It can be anything about French learning or about international life. Like, for example, the new student that I worked with today didn't know that I live in Vienna, Austria. So I'm telling you, I live in Vienna. If you have anything else that you'd like to know about anything, really, I'm happy to answer that. First time. Okay, cool. So cool to have you here. I'm so glad we keep seeing new people. How did you like it? Like, was it informative for you? Oh, you're in Guadeloupe. Nice. One of my friends is from there. The friend who lives in my I have a flat in Berlin because I've had a complicated life. I live in Austria now, but I used to live in Germany, and I own a flat there. And one of the guys who live there now is from Guadeloupe. So yeah, really nice spot. So do you speak French, Andrea, or are you like still learning? What's your situation? Oh, you're in Nigeria. I guess that's the reason why I can't pronounce your name. I'll have to look it up how it's pronounced. But sweet, I'm like so cool. I mean, so many people from so many different places. It's amazing. I love that. So I'm somewhat of a self-taught beginner. How long to get to A2? Oh, wow. Great question. So you're self-taught. Honestly, it really depends on what you use. A2 is not that far. Why do you want to get to A2? Like, is it because you want to pass an exam? So if you want to pass the DELF, then that's the situation why you need to get to A2, or maybe A2 is also useful for traveling. If you want to travel, A2 is the minimum that you would need to be able to like survive in a French-speaking country without having to rely on English. Of course, you can find English speakers. It's not like you can't go to France and speak English. Of course, you can do that, but yeah, just to travel and get around. Yeah, honestly, it really depends on how you address it and how you go about it. So I can't really answer that. Like, some people will be able to do it in 3 months, no problem. For some people, it will take a year or even more. It's really difficult to answer that, especially if you're self-taught, because it depends on the other competencies that you have, the other kind of thing that you can that you can do. So I'm sorry, I can't really. Oh, you speak Spanish fluently and B1 German. Okay, so you got plenty of languages already, so it will be faster. It will definitely be faster. The danger is that you might mix it up with Spanish. Although since you're already fluent, it's less of a problem. It's more challenging when you learn the two languages at the same time. So if you do it seriously, it probably is going to take you somewhere between 3 and 6 months, I could say. I think that's a reasonable framework. Like, if you're very dedicated, you could do 3 months. If you're less dedicated, but still sticking to it, it could be half a year. Like, generally, when students ask me, when you work one-on-one with me, how long does it take to reach a point where you're conversational? Like, maybe not fluent, but conversational. I say that 1 year is a reasonable time frame. From 0 to like functional conversation, 1 year is a reasonable time frame. But that's for people who are monolingual, and that's for people who work with me. So you would, like, of course, I have the method that's the fastest because I've developed it this way. So of course, if you're self-taught, it will be less fast. But since you have already several languages, it will be easier. So I know I'm just giving you lots of information. I hope that helps. It's just I can't really give a lot of specifics, especially on time frames. It's tricky. It's the trickiest question, honestly. Like, how long does it take? It depends. But I hope that helps. By 3-6 month pandemic may be over. I hope it will. I have lost hope, to be honest. I mean, it's been over a year. Like, the last event that happened in the pandemic, the last event that happened before the pandemic was my birthday. I organized a birthday party here. I had a bunch of friends come. I know that a couple of them decided not to come because of COVID, because they work at the UN and whatnot. But that was the last thing that happened, and then it's been locked down ever since. And I'm about to have a birthday again. It's in 2 weeks. And I'm like, gosh, I can't believe it has lasted from my birthday last year to my birthday this year and beyond, and we don't know when it will end. I'm like, really annoyed. So yeah. Andrea is originally from the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Cool. The most southerly island in the entire Caribbean, closest to Venezuela. And you speak some Spanish as well, and B1 German. Sweet. So we have all those languages in common. I also speak Spanish, or at least I used to. I haven't had a conversation in Spanish in quite some time, but I probably still can speak it. I still can understand everything, so there's that. And yeah, German, I have a B2 degree in German that I could show you, but I don't know where it is. But I think there are pictures of me with my degree on my website. Yeah, I learned that because I wanted to study at the University of Vienna. That was before I realized that in order to become a teacher in this country, like officially, like an official high school teacher, I found out that I don't have to repeat all of my studies, but I have to repeat a lot. And particularly if I will want to become a French teacher, because I don't have any degree that proves that I can speak French, never mind that I'm a native and that all of my degrees are in France, but that doesn't count for them, then I would have to start from scratch. And when they told me that, that was after I had already taken my German degree, which allowed me to go there. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm not doing this. I'm gonna do something else. And I'm actually pretty happy running this little online business and teaching English speakers French instead of being in a high school somewhere in Austria teaching high school kids a language that they mostly don't want to learn. So I'm very happy about how it turned out. But that was a tricky time. So fingers crossed you're right, Phil. I have to get out of here for Linda. Yeah, crossing my fingers. I'm having a whole bunch of issues left and right because of the inability, not only for me to get out, but also for people to come in. I have a tenant who was supposed to start living in my flat in Berlin who has never been able to come because he's still stuck in Israel. And now I have to look for another one, but I, of course, can't really go there. And it's just, it's a mess. So anyway, it's been an hour. If you have a quick question or anything, I'd love to stick around for a couple of minutes, but else I'm gonna bounce because that's the rule, like from 7 to 8 or from 10 to 1, from 12 to 1 in Texas, or from 1 to 2 in the East Coast, or 10 to 11 Pacific. So yep, if you have any question, just throw it to me really quickly. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you next week. I don't have a topic yet, but I'll think about it. You can drop a topic in the comment section if you'd like, or just email me. Probably the topic will be pronunciation. I hope I'm going to be able to finish the course. I'm having technical difficulties with my software right now, but I should resolve that. So thank you, guys. Guys, thank you, people, men, women, non-binary people who have been here. It was so sweet to be speaking to you. I don't actually know how many comments there were, so I don't know if we have broken the record. Last time there were 77 comments, and I was amazed. You have left a lot of comments today, so maybe we've broken the records. I was wondering if you could make it to the 100 comment mark. We'll see. I will comment on that on Telegram. So if you're not on Telegram yet, well, you should definitely join. I'll just paste the link again. So if any of you is not on my Telegram channel yet, just click on this link and you will be led to there. And if you don't know what Telegram is, there is a tutorial on this channel on how to learn French with Telegram, where I show what's on the channel and what you can expect there. So thank you very much for being here. It's always a pleasure to be live with you. I look forward to it every week. I definitely look forward to next Monday, which will be the 1st of March. And yeah, thank you guys. It was amazing. I'll see you next time. Bye.